Good afternoon, people. A couple things I wanted to share with the populace. Um, the audio sounds exquisite. So first of all, I want to talk about 101 wisdom keys. Now, I'm not doing all 101. Um, I might not. Either way, I, I'm intrigued by wisdom, especially as of late. Uh, I've been on a path, um, which is complicated in and of itself, but it has yielded fruit, mind you. And it starts with wisdom, starts and ends with wisdom, especially in determining new directions and what have you. Um, you guys know I am not known to give away secrets and plans and things of that nature until I've done them. And soon, soon, uh, I'll be different. I'll be different. But yeah, this is an Ask Me Anything a live Q&A if you so choose to participate. We have 3 people watching. We had as much as 5 people in the lobby, and they have all dissipated, which is fine. Before we get into the wisdom keys, I want to talk about fear real quick because I think I unlocked something that may be obvious to everyone else, but it seems to be life changing to me, life altering. Um, Fear, in the most practical sense, meaning why don't I do what I want to do? In the last couple Q and A's, a question came up: if you could do anything, if you could go anywhere, if you could make up the perfect day for yourself, what would that consist of? And my answer consistently and continuously is traveling to somebody's country, doing someone's. I'm at somebody's airport, bruh. Preferably in first class. And then it hit me, bruh. Why aren't you doing it? Why haven't I been live as much as I know I should be? It's one of the few things I actually enjoy doing. And yet I don't do it. Is it because of anxiety? That's been clinically diagnosed by the Air Force and the Veterans Affairs Organization? Is it the comments? Is it the millions of people that are screen recording? The answer is fear to most of the questions that ail me, that cause me anxiety, that cause me to worry. Worrying is praying for something you don't want. And I realized the simple answer is fear. The reason why we don't ask for discounts every single day, the reasons why we see someone we're attracted to, we let them walk past us, it's fear. The constant question to men: why aren't men approaching? What's wrong with men? Why are men afraid? It's fear. It's fear. Simple as that. And the only way to please God is faith. It's faith. Why would God be pleased with us being courageous and pursuing things that we're afraid of? It's simple. Everything we desire, everything I desire, is literally on the opposite side of fear, and yet that fear, it's. I would argue fear is the only thing stronger than fear is love. Because if you think about the barrier that fear is to most people, it's nearly impossible to overcome, and yet people do it. But yeah, in addition to fear, and a practical way to help allow it to dissipate, is asking. Asking, asking requires humility. The other day I posted on Instagram. I went to Dunkin' Donuts as I normally do, and I got my iced coffee. But in addition, I asked for a free donut. And the question is, why? Why does that cause people just the idea of laying down in public and letting people walk around you? Just the idea of it causes people anxiety. Why is that? Why is that? Fear is interesting. Next time you feel it, just take note of it. Don't try to change it. Don't try to fight it. Just take note of the next time you feel fear, and ask yourself: is there an option to override this? Is there a better option available than retreating? Wisdom keys. These are by Dr. Mike Murdoch. I apologize for not having them on the screen, but this is a book, and so I'm not trying to deal with copyright infringement, bylaws and what have you. But I find wisdom so refreshing because it tends to break down the most complicated situations down into simple, practical language and application. And again, these are by Dr. Mike Murdoch. 101 wisdom keys. Number one, you know what's interesting about anxiety? I feel it now, but I now have the mindset of that's good. That's good because exactly what you want is what you're doing. It's your body trying to keep control. Anyway, number one, never complain about what you permit. First thought that came to mind, nigga, why are you still in America? Why do you complain about anything that's going on in America that you don't like when you have a free pass out this country today? Why are you still here? If you permit it, if you tolerate it, it's not going to go away. It's not going to change. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on each one because they tend to be self-explanatory. They are very well-written quotes by Dr. Mike Murdoch. So, yeah, I highly recommend getting the book. It's like $5. I have it on Kindle. Definitely, wisdom is key. It's the principal thing. It cried in the streets. It's free. It's available. Yeah, people walk right past it. I'll pass. Number two, the problem that infuriates you the most is the problem that God has assigned you to solve. The problem that infuriates you the most is the problem that God has assigned you to solve. I'm trying to think of what causes me to become angry on sight. The problem that infuriates you the most is the problem that God has assigned you to solve. The word injustice keeps coming to mind, and I have no desire to be a lawyer, but it is within me to. I hate seeing injustice, and it's probably why I love documenting so much. Is why I sent mostly emails and text messages versus face to face phone call or face to face engagement because I like there to be a record because injustice happens so often, especially between he said she said, where documentation is the only thing that you're able to go off of. Countless individuals who have grew up in prison systems and they're innocent. And I'm like, I smoke weed out of leisure. I buy this over the counter. This is 100% legal. And yet people have encountered injustice. I hate that. But the quote says infuriates you the most. I don't think that's the most infuriating. I would say lack. My family's lack infuriates me the most. Literally causes me anger. Like anger proceeds from the thought process of my family suffering from lack. But of course, being the oldest son, It kind of follows. It follows. The problem that infuriates you the most is the problem that God has assigned you to solve. Number 3, those who unlock your compassion are those to whom you have been assigned. I hate this one. Those who unlock your compassion are those to whom have been assigned. I tend to feel bad for people that I probably don't want to spend any time with. Let's just keep it a buck. Homeless people. Homeless people. Instantly. Especially when they're asking for food or water. They're not asking for beer or weed money. Food or water, it triggers compassion. The more I read the Bible, the more convicted I am. Especially when it comes to defining love and how I live love out. Forgiving people. But, I mean, whatever triggers you, that might be the catalyst, the stimulus that you need to execute love on earth as we're commanded. Have you guys noticed there's been a trend of celebrities just becoming Christian all of a sudden? I'm telling you, I'm not going to be the person outside the ark knocking. I promise you it won't be me. I struggle enough in solitude and isolation for the proper cause. Like when they say you're going to suffer for the cause of Christ, this is what I'm doing every single day. Suffering for the cause of Christ. I got options, man. I mean, Florida is the sex capital city of the world. And yet we're called to holiness. What in the world in the chat, man? Shout out to you for commenting. Appreciate you, man. Or ma'am. How do you feel about the Navy Federal scandal? I heard about it and I immediately thought I don't want to participate. Let's look it up real quick. Navy Federal scandal. Even though I am no longer banking with that institution. Navy Federal faces lawsuit, allegations of racial bias in mortgage lending. I heard it. I did see this. Allegations of racial bias in mortgage lending. A lawsuit accuses Navy Federal of running afoul of both the Fair Housing Act of 1968 and the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, which bar lending discrimination based on race. Navy Federal has pushed back against the allegations, as they should and as they would. Well, luckily I'm not involved. However, if there's a reparations payment going out, I will gladly participate in such proceedings and receivings. It does kind of follow. It's not nothing new in terms of. First of all, we have racial demographics. If we're not black people seem to have this entitlement to the same treatment as white people. White people are the majority of this country. They also founded this country. They also have the reins of power. And so in a lot of cases, this should be obvious. Should be obvious. Oh, the number one thing black people can't seem to acquire is a top-notch credit score. Now, again, I believe that's more so user error. But it's just, these are broad correlations of, well, black people who are roughly 12% of the population don't have as many loans as white people. I'm like, well, is this contextualized properly? Which, again, it doesn't surprise me that banks are not giving black people as much money as white people. It seems to follow. That's interesting. Where are we at? Number 3. Number 4, people. What you are willing to walk away from determines what God will bring to you. Excuse me. What you're willing to walk away from determines what God will bring to you. One thing I've noticed is that in the pursuit of a godly woman, a godly wife, you're going to have to walk away from counterfeits, from close enoughs, from I'll take it's, from that'll do, and realize if you're willing to wait, patience, people, patience. It's typically the barrier to get it, along with fear. Patience. I walked away from the Air Force. What did I get? For one, a new set of problems, but primarily, I got exactly what I wanted: the ability to make podcasts, and I don't have to work. I just wake up and cash checks and what have you, smoke the Lord's lettuce. He created hemp, as far as I know. One of my greatest fears was leaving the Air Force. It's kind of tough to want you tell somebody to leave land and jump in the water or jump into a different medium or substance, change environments. You go from stability to discomfort to the unknown. That was one of my greatest fears. I'm like, how do you transition, man? How do you do this? And then you jump. Then you jump and you realize it's not that bad. It takes a little bit of planning, a little bit of preparation. But ultimately, it was the best decision I could have made. That there was no better solution than getting out the Air Force. I'm way much happier. I'm much happier now, even though I do have a new set of problems to deal with. A new set. So yeah, what you're willing to walk away from determines often what comes to you, what you attract. Anxiety is a bastard, you understand? I can mind my business the entire day, which I typically do. The second I want to do something productive. But anxiety is a suggestion in this case, because we're gonna go for it anyway. Number 5, the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. Now, the irony of this one is because I'm doing the opposite currently. I'm breaking down my routines and doing different stuff, such as this: talking to the populace, changing up your routine. I believe it was Alan Watts that said, "Your routine is a reflection of your thoughts, and if you want to change, your actions throughout the day, change your thoughts. Otherwise, you're going to repeat what you did yesterday because you're typically thinking the same thoughts every day." So by reading different books, I have new, different impulses, different thoughts and what have you. They don't change that drastically, but often you'll realize we are all living in our end results and the end results of our actions. I'll use myself for example. First of all, I don't know how I got here because as much as I plan my life out, as much as I tend to overanalyze and overthink things, those plans fail. And by the grace of God, my life has turned out better than my plans. How is that possible? How's that possible, bro? You guys know I used to wake up at 2:30 Monday through Saturday. I was sleeping on Sundays before church. And I was so I'm like, I'm gonna build this YouTube channel and it's gonna retire it's gonna retire your boy. It turns out the one thing that I was running away from, fortunately, was the retirement. It's just interesting how we have these amazingly laid plans, and most of them fail. Most of them. Now, one quote I heard was, "The one way to control change is to plan." What is the point of planning? Is to insert your goals reverse engineered, into daily, hourly steps. Reverse engineer your goals into daily, hourly steps. You realize it's a lot simpler. If you guys knew, and I say this in most of my latest live streams, if you guys knew how much energy it took for me to be sitting here talking to this camera. Motivation is keeping one thought, just held there. Just keep it at the forefront of your mind. One thought. I told myself from early this morning, I'm going live today. I'm going live today. I'm going live today. And it took me literally up until the moment I press go live. Just focus on, plug this in, connect this, check this. check this. Make sure that it took so much work to get one, but I'm here now. 24 minutes in, I could cancel this and be proud of myself for doing what little work, what have you. One quick thing: if you are a perfectionist, you are dying a slow death. Trust me, hear me out. No, stop. I'm finally live streaming at, what was it, like 720p, realizing no one cares, including myself. No one cares. I believe Lee was giving me some hell about it. He's like, Brad, why you got cameras dying on you, got cooling systems, ACs running on high, trying to have the highest. First of all, you got 5 people watching. You think those 5 people are pixel peeping? Perfectionist, it's a sentence to a slow and early death. You won't be able to enjoy anything. You won't be able to do anything because you'll be waiting for it to be perfect. This shot is not perfect, but it's close enough. It's good enough. It'll work. I heard a quote the other day. I've been reading a ton. Um, Good is better than all. It was something to that effect. Basically saying that doing it, no, done is better than good. Doing it and having it done, check, is better than doing a good job 2 weeks later. Just do it. Just go live with the anxiety. The anxiety's not gonna go away. I have it right now. It's like choking up my breathing. I can't even get the words out. You gotta do it anyway. You have to be afraid. I've talked about fear at the beginning of this. You have to feel the anxiety, the fear. Let's go. Do it anyway. Some of the best results I've got in my life have been from this feeling of this is what courage feels like. Anxiety and courage have the same symptoms. You feel it, take a deep breath, and do it anyway. Got a question from Josh, bruh. Bruh, I ask whatever question y'all got, bruh. Y'all sitting here watching your boy. I appreciate you. I know you probably are tired of hearing Air Force questions, but did you ever get in trouble over your videos? This is an interesting topic because I didn't. I actually got the opposite effect, where I had leadership using my videos and PowerPoints. I got one email from a gentleman who works at some military school, and he said he put me in one of his PowerPoints. And then I had another young lady, when I had a lot of my videos privated, she reached out over one video specifically that she was using in her teachings. It's interesting. I've never had any issues. Even while deployed, posting videos, never had any issues. By the grace of God, I'm grateful. I'm grateful because it could easily go south over allegations, over stupid stuff, over Brad said nigga too many times, bruh. What's going on, Hiram? Probably the world's most OG subscriber I have. Hiram has been here since literally no clue what Hiram looks like, but this Brad been here for a minute. So of course we are grateful. Yeah, if you have any questions, drop in the chat. We're just chilling, going through some wisdom keys. This is not the entertaining. This is not that. This is wisdom. You understand? This is wisdom. I realize if I'm gonna keep doing YouTube or podcasting, whatever, it's gonna have to be something I enjoy. It's gonna have to be something that fulfills me, has some type of meaning behind it. And yeah, we're not just gonna be covering the trending topics. So, it's the only way I'll be able to enjoy YouTube is to go back to my roots. Why did you start YouTube? I like to document. I like to learn. I like to share what I learn. I like to break down ideas. All right. You like to travel? Make some moves, man. Where were we? Number 6. Your rewards in life are determined by the problems you solve for others. This topic is ongoing. You have those who worked in, McDonald's. Shout out to McDonald's. I worked there for several years after high school, even during high school. and they want to be paid as if they're solving a problem that a plumber is solving. Two different problems. Fast food versus, it's not the same, man. I was talking to my Airbnb host, and she just bought a business, and having trouble getting off the ground. But yeah, the problem you solve determines how much you get paid. The value behind your actions determines compensation. It's a simple one. Shout out to the WNBA. um, Number 7. When you want something you have never had, you have to do something you've never done. I'm gonna skip that one because it sounds cliche, and I hate cliche quotes, but it's very true. Um, Moving on. Number 8. All men fall. The great ones get back up. I mentioned perfectionism earlier. I'll use myself for example as well. Or once again, perfectionism will have you doing nothing for fear of failing at something minute. It's also called anxiety. Um, Trying to avoid failure and do things perfectly, step by step, pragmatically, itemized. Everything is in order. Everything is where it's properly supposed to be. The moment will never come to the moment where you have the perfect amount of money, you have everything lined up, logistically, everything is perfect. It will never come. And time will pass you by. Me waiting for the right moment, the right day to go live and talk. I'm feeling better the longer I do it. It will never come. I'll wait till I stop smoking the devil's lettuce, and then that day may never come. Let's keep it a butt. That day may never come. You're gonna realize at some point you have to do it, and you realize I could fall and fail and screw up my life, but you probably won't. You might. you, you might ruin everything, but then you just die. Worst case, you just die. It's not exactly the worst case. You use your imagination, but most people are broke already. Most people live at home already. So you have nothing to lose. You were alone already. Go talk to them. You were already alone. You're by yourself. Now what? Go do it. You realize everyone else is. No one's thinking about you. Nobody's watching your downfall, praying on your downfall. No one cares about you that much. I promise you. No one cares about you that much that they're just let me just watch there. Nah. Because when I turn this camera off, I'm about to go get in that bed. I'm going to take me a nap, bruh. I haven't been on DoorDash like crazy as of late, but I promise you, bruh. No one cares. Perfectionism will have you sitting in place, waiting, and time will be ticking, passing you by. And then you deal with regret, which is unfortunate. How long is the question? How long? Pause. How long will it take you to get back up, man? I've noticed as of late, my anger lasts a good 15 minutes, and then it's literally gone because anger is just energy. No one's constantly. You can't sustain that. No one can sprint for 30 minutes. Professionals, no. So you're gonna have to choose. I told myself you're going to have to choose what you do with your life. I just finished the book Rejection Proof by Jiao Jiang. Very interesting individual. He did 100 days of rejection, of seeking rejection, of asking, of asking. And one thing that and many things that transpired. But one thing is you realize what happens at the end. Nothing happens. I believe I posted this on Threads. By the way, follow me on Threads if you haven't already. Um, None of the things I was worried about this year have happened. None of the things that gave me anxiety, that had me losing sleep for hours, none of them have happened. I was wrong about all of them. How is that possible? That's crazy. None of them have happened. None of them. That's how you're praying for something bad to happen that may or may not happen, and it usually doesn't. Waste of energy. It's a waste of energy. Number 9, intolerance of your present creates your future. Intolerance of your present creates your future. That's one that will be more or less left up to interpretation. Whatever you think of is what it's referring to, because it's not absolute nature. Moving on, number 10. Those who cannot increase you will inevitably decrease you. I always talk about manipulation, how it's either offense or defense. You're playing offense or defense, whether you know it or not. It may be bad offense or bad defense, but it's either or. It's either or. I saw a video trending, African pastor. He said, if there are 5 fools around you, you don't count well, there are 6. And it's simply highlighting that fact of the people you spend most time. My pay has increased since moving to an area where everyone's pay is higher, especially my close friends. I'm nowhere near their tax brackets, but yet I keep increasing monthly by simple proximity. Proximity. I also start smoking more due to proximity, influence. Whoever you're spending time with, you're going to start mirroring. You're going to start looking like. The way to build rapport is to mirror. The sign that someone has built rapport is mirroring. Just be careful. Look around you. Are you proud of the people around you? Would you take them in public? Would you show them off? Would you tell people publicly online in videos and photos, I know this person, I associate with them? Just be careful. Family too. I'm telling you, be careful. Number 11. You will never leave where you are until you decide where you would rather be. Read it again. You will never leave where you are until you decide where you would rather be. It's highlighting the need for velocity. Not so much speed, but direction. Direction. Direction is the most important thing for a young man to have. As someone who's still relatively young, the age of 31, direction is the most important thing to me right now. Decision making. Direction determines everything else. The destination tells me everything else I need. If my destination is California, I'm not taking a canoe or a tricycle or a hovercraft or a Tesla. I'm taking a flight. Decide the destination, and then everything else, since seemingly just comes together. And a lot of it is subconsciously. A lot of it is just by just understanding cause and effect. Very simple. You will only have significant success, number 12. You will only have significant success with something that is an obsession. Now, of course, keyword being significant, a qualifier of sorts. One thing I noticed, they mentioned an obsession. One ingredient that is required in depression is obsession. It's the need to replay the same thought on repeat. Depression requires quite a large magnitude of focus. The ability to sustain one thought. We talked about earlier. Motivation is keeping one thought centered. Centered. Depression requires a lot of focus, a lot of discipline. It's just difficult to torque your own self out of a hole. It's difficult. Been there and I live there. But that's the fun of life, is experiencing the fear and the courage that is required on a daily basis. You do it anyway. That's where all the fun comes from. I got a discount on this Airbnb, not because it was advertised, but because I asked for one. I got a military discount the other day. I asked for a regular discount. I was trying to get the rejection because, again, the goal of the 100, it's called rejection therapy. The goal of it is to get rejected. It's not to get the yes, but the yes is a byproduct of the asking. So therefore, you're surprised. It's kind of like when I say assume everyone's a serial killer and be surprised by their kindness. Well, rejection tends to assume rejection, but often you'll be surprised by how many yeses you get, especially about certain questions. I think the other day I asked for a free hotel room. And it was like, nah. I was like, oh. If I asked every hotel in the city, I probably could have got one. That's the whole point. Keep doing it. One of these days, I might go down to the dock, especially the ones with the large boats, and just ask each boat going out, can I go with you? Now, the dangerous thing is that if one of them says yes, I gotta go spend the day, on somebody's boat. But I'll probably be aiming for the yachts, just so it's worth my time. If they do oblige. Moving on. We already did number 12. Number 13. Give another what he cannot find anywhere else, and he will keep returning. Give to someone what they cannot find anywhere else, and they will return continuously. This is referencing leverage. Leverage. Dependency. You help somebody one time, appreciation. The second time, expectancy. Third time, dependency. And ongoing. There's words, we just add another adjective, superlative, just ongoing. But this references what they can't find anywhere else. This is called value. Value is how much somebody's willing to pay, not how much they paid, not the price, but how much they were willing to pay. I will pay you my entire net worth for that pair of shoes. Something wrong with that, but of course, you see they have value in that. They see the value in that. So it's not about what you were charging, it's about how much they value that. If you have what someone else needs and they have what you want, that's called you have leverage. You have leverage over them. Women typically walk around with leverage over men in most cases. Why? Because they have what men, in a lot of cases, need and want. It's mostly want. Number 14. Your assignment is not your decision, but your discovery. Your assignment is not your decision. It's your discovery. You have to discover it. You have to go out and find it. He who finds a wife, you have to go out and find her. She's hidden because she's valuable. Anything of value is not out in the open. Well, in a lot of cases it is because ignorance. I'm sure your city sells yachts, but you've just never gone shopping for one. It's about realizing things are in plain sight. Wisdom cried in the streets. Your assignment is not your decision, but it's your discovery. You don't decide your favorite color, you discover it. Ooh, I like that. Very rarely do people decide what they like. They discover it. They're just going about their business and they cross paths, serendipity, and then they have a novel moment. Fear typically is the barrier to discovering. If I would have studied the wilderness of Alaska before I went hiking, I probably would have never left my dorm room. I'm glad I didn't discover it either. I don't want to discover Loch Ness. There's no point to such proceedings. I will pass on such an offering. Your assignment is not your decision; it's your discovery. When's the last time you tried something completely different than your calling card? If I asked you, are you intrigued by such activities? Why aren't you trying it? The answer for most people is, I'm just afraid. It's just fear. If you wait till all their answers have been reduced down to a singular term, you'll find that most people are just afraid to try something new. They're comfortable. They're comfortable. Your mind will wake up the second you get uncomfortable. The second you're just missing something, now you have to think, how do I get along without this? Now creativity is involved. Now you have energy because you're requiring energy now. So now you're using resources to manufacture something. Necessity is the mother of invention. Moving on. Number 15. I'll probably stop around 20. Number 15. When fatigue walks in, faith walks out. You're tired, bruh. I've been keeping a tracker, a tally of my actions. And one category is Fat Ray. And it's I have to put I mark, a little itemized check every time Fat Ray wins. And it's usually at night when I'm exhausted, I'm tired. When if people knew the value of discipline, they wouldn't use it with everything. If you knew like discipline is a currency, it's a currency. It's not indefinite, and that you have to choose wisely what you use it on. This is why when I was in the Air Force, I gave all my energy to the early morning. 2:30 to 7:30 was mine first, and I gave all my discipline and energy to that moment. The Air Force got the leftovers, the residual. I would get off work, try to go study, try to go to the gym, grocery shopping, meal prepping. Who does any of that after work? Just being aware that your body has limitations and that if you keep poking at those limitations, you will find them. Faith is referencing fear. Of course, everyone is safe and sound in their bed with the blinds closed, with no potential and with no kinetic energy. Everything's just potential, just safety. I'm not going to do anything new. I'm not going to try anything new. I have my same brands that I do this every single way. I have to do this and then do this. If it's not right, I can't function. Faith is how you please God, which means you're actively, because it's either or. It's binary. It's one or the other. So you're either operating in faith or fear. What does faith look like? Trying things that are new, that are different. What does fear look like? Indecisive. Being paralyzed by too many choices. Being afraid of too little choices. Being upset about too little choices. Not liking the choices. That's fear. If you're a Christian, your Bible says all things work together for the good of those who love God. If all things work together, such as, you guys know, when I was in Alaska, I spent, what was it, almost 3 weeks? Almost 3 weeks. Inpatient facility. It's supposed to be a suicide-proof hospital. It was not suicide-proof. Trust me, it wasn't. Again, creativity is it's a calling card. But I thought, bruh, how in the world, bruh? How did you end up here? You on here teaching wisdom. You love wisdom, and yet you in the nut house, man. During the Super Bowl, mind you, watching the Super Bowl, man. What is wrong with you? I had no idea when I have pictures and videos. Pictures, you guys know I document everything. I document everything. I have pictures and videos of me in the inpatient facility, and now I can go back in those videos and said, "Yo, that 3 weeks that you spent in patient facility is why you don't have to work until you die. You don't have to work. You don't have to work. Think about that. One of the worst times in my life turns into the biggest blessings of my life and my family's life. If I live to give or take 100, I'm looking at almost $3 million. I mean, I get all of it, this government and the time we've been on as of late. But it's much better than waking up on Monday morning with a stomach full of dread. I gotta go sit in this cubicle for 8 hours, and I gotta go to dorm rooms and check up on trainees and youngins and airmen. It's too much. I got PT. What's today? Thursday, bro? It's Thursday. I didn't have PT this morning. I had coffee in a backwoods, man, at the ocean's front. But looking back on it, it's easy to connect the two and say, well, that worked out for my good. That benefited me. That was a blessing. But in the moment, it's everything's crumbling. In the moment, I'm like, bruh, what am I supposed to do, bruh? Like, all my plans have completely, everything I thought I would be doing failed. Now what? And faith accrues over time. Because now that I'm able to connect the dots and see how one of the worst things that ever happened to me in terms of not wanting to live ever again, thinking my career was over, thinking I had failed on multiple levels. On multiple levels, I thought I was just a failure. In a lot of ways, I was. But we're grateful today. Trust me on that, man. We are grateful. When fatigue walks in, faith walks out. It's more difficult to be a man if you're tired. It's more difficult to be a woman if you're tired. It's more difficult to live, to do anything if you're tired. Notice how if you get a crush, you meet somebody. I just joined a church, go to singles ministry, you see somebody, ooh, Lord, is that you talking to me? Is that her? Notice how, if any of the energy is returned, how you just have an extra coffee's worth of energy. I'm like, where did that energy come from? I'm a person that analyzes stuff like that. I'm like, all right, I was tired yesterday. Why do I have energy now all of a sudden? And now, again, faith is literally doing whatever you're afraid of, within reason, of course. But that's what faith feels like. It's energy. And when you get some wins and you get some W's, like when I get off of here, I'm like, bruh, finally, bruh, the drought is over from the last video. It was maybe like a month ago. Every time you see me on this screen, it's a win. For me, at least. It's a W. I already went to the gym today. I had a nice little smoke session, a little caffeinated session at the ocean this morning. This evening, steak probably a nice little ribeye, a little 12 ounce. Moving on. Number 16. If what you hold in your hand is not enough to be a harvest, make it your seed. How many Christians pray for money and pray for wealth and pray for their bills to be paid? The Bible says very clearly, giving is how you get, is how you receive. You give. This is referencing, the simplest lesson in your science class. You take a seed and you can eat it, or you can take that same seed and plant it. Acorn tree. I'm not sure people eat acorns, but I mean, Charlie from It's Always Sunny, I'm sure he's had his fill. Uh, an acorn can be ingested and empty calories. Somebody care about the carbs and fats. You can burn through that anyway. Or you can plant that and you get an oak tree, and obviously you get more acorns as well. If what you hold in your hand is not enough to be a harvest, meaning you wouldn't be satisfied with that, give it away. Plant it. Give it away. Plant it. How many people on YouTube had blown up because they gave? Mr. Beast has made an entire career of giving away stuff, giving away cars, giving away houses, giving away briefcases full of cash. He gives, and he gets back automatically. Now he does get some cancellation with him and his person and the continent of Africa and those proceedings, and how giving to people is wrong. If you record it, the camera's on, but everything's recorded and everything has a camera on it. He's giving the money back. I don't know. Yeah, if what you have in your hand is not enough to feed you for a night, give it away, bro. Give it away. A lot of us have too much stuff. Just give it away. One of my old cell phones, I take that and give it to someone, and it changed their life. They build a business off having a simple access to the internet. Give it away. Minimalism. Give it away. Get rid of it. I live out of 2 bags. 1 duffel bag, 1 computer bag. It's possible. It took some time to get down from the quantity. I don't need 6 pairs of socks. I need 2. 1 dress, 1, and then I just do laundry a little bit. Like I do laundry once a week. Once a week. I tell my mom, just get rid of it. Throw it out. You have too much stuff. You have. I'm thinking about doing like a little vlog of like nights when I sleep in my car. There's nothing in it. How do people have these messy cars? Why do we have these cabinets full of every medication we could think of? We use the Tylenol once a month, maybe twice a month. Tylenol, ibuprofen. We be having these cabinets layered with stuff. I have 2 to 3 different types of bleaches depending on which appliance I'm cleaning at the moment. It's too much stuff. Plant it. Give it away. Giving it to someone, it becomes a seed all of a sudden, because now God is he's acknowledging this person is obeying a law. If you give, you will get. If you give, you will get. Now, for the nice guys in the room, there's something called covert contracts, and this is a bit of a tangent, but it's relevant. Covert contracts is the action of giving to get. Unfortunately, it's manipulation as well. It's manipulation. Mainly because you're the only person that knows about the contract. When you're dealing with God and planting seeds and harvests and what have you, both people know about the contract. God altered it, and you're just participating in it. You're participating. Covert contract is when you're doing things in hopes that something happens on your return, and no one else knows about it but you. You're just participating by yourself. That's called a covert contract. All they do is yield anxiety, anger, bitterness, holding in things. You're peeping stuff. You're just holding it in, not saying anything. And it builds up over time. Beware of those type of things. Women too. If you see something that bothers you, don't be afraid. Mind you, fear. Don't be afraid to speak up. A couple more. You will never change what you believe until your belief system cannot produce something you want. You will never change what you believe until your former belief system cannot produce what you want. You're seeing this with feminism now, where a lot of people are starting to realize, what does this yield? I was going through my car and my 2 bags and realizing certain things I buy were purely for symbolism, for this fake prestige that hopefully they will see that because I bought this. You ever notice this? You ever see a nice car? What are what are the condition of the thoughts that come to mind? You see a nice car, what thoughts come to mind? Are they facts or opinions? I would argue if you see somebody in something that is nice, you see somebody in a nice house, your first thought is a fact, not an opinion. So if you think about it, you put a man in a brand new sports car. His thoughts are, yo, everyone's looking at me. They want to fuck. Yo, boy, they trying to give me draws ASAP, man. The men want to be me. The women want to be with your boy. Those are the driver's thoughts. The typical average man. Everyone watching him is thinking about, oh, that was expensive. He must have a lot of money. There may be a correlation or inference. But the first part, they immediately pause on the fact that he has enough money to buy that car. He owns that car, therefore he's rich. We start drawing correlations. None of us think he's cool. No one thinks, ooh, that person is hip, is culturally relevant. No, we think about facts. A lot of the symbols we buy don't even get the result that we think it does. It's unfortunate. A lot of our actions, the pursuit of capitalism, the pursuit of whatever ism, a lot of us are going to end up realizing when it's too late, hopefully not, God forbid, that a lot of things we've been chasing have no foundation. Feminism. People want to work jobs. When did corporate become cool? Warehouses? Amazon? Air Force? Military? People want to work. I'm not saying not working is all that much more pleasant because you will be bored. Trust me. I'm speaking from firsthand experience that if someone gave you all the money in the world, you will still need something to do. And 24 hours is a long time because you don't have nowhere to be. You're not going to bed early because you got to work in the morning. That excuse is out. You don't have nowhere to be. By the way, no one knows that you have nowhere to be. Especially if you're single, no children. Living in random cities, what have you. Working too much and working too little, I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. You will never change what you believe until your belief system cannot produce something you want. There's 2 ways of learning. There's wisdom and there's pain. Most people will not change until pain hits them. Until they realize, all right, I have no other options but to do it the right way. If I don't do it right, if I don't take the time to do it right the first time, the only end result I can hope for is pain. It's not just gonna hope its way into righteousness. It's not gonna work. Do it right the first time. And sadly, in human lives, we have one chance. Some things only come around once. I was telling myself the other day in the car, I'm like, all right, bro, you out here. Like, in addition, I was telling myself, bro, I'm living in the good old days, bro. I don't have nowhere to be. No one looking on me. No one checking in on your boy. No one making sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to be. No one. I can do whatever I want to do. I have probably the closest thing to freedom. Probably one of the closest versions of freedom. Several rungs below, the billionaires and millionaires. But in terms of time freedom, I can book a ticket and just go. And no one's gonna be like, yo, you gonna be back on time? It's not worth it. I promise you, it's not worth it. Most of the things that we're pursuing, once you get it, you're gonna realize it's why did I want this so badly when it has no value. It literally has no value. And you'd be surprised how many things that we all desire are literally worthless. You acquire it. Cardi B was talking about the other day, being rich versus poverty. Of course, there are pros and cons, but a lot of people are acting like being rich is just better, objectively better, absolutely better than being broke. It's not true. I see more Mexicans laughing and smiling while they're landscaping in 100-degree heat, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, bruh, I wish I had $100 more. Why you wouldn't even spend it? And then once I got that extra $100, then I'm like, I wish I had a. If I had this much, bro, I could buy a jet ski. All right, you get that money. I don't want to spend all the money on a jet ski. I just rent one. But if I had this much money, I could buy my own boat and a truck to pull it, and then I'll get that money. It's called the hedonic treadmill, and it constantly resets. It's unfortunate nature of humans, where no matter how high you get or how low you get, your minds will automatically adjust and start calling the new conditions normal. I see palm trees every day now. Countless. When I was stationed in New Mexico, I would drive down to El Paso. They had a handful of palm trees down there. But every time I saw one, Florida, palm trees, bruh. Now I see them all the time. It's unfortunate, but they're normal now. They're just everywhere. The ocean's normal now. I saw it this morning. I saw it yesterday. I saw it the day before for hours. I saw it the day before that for hours. I drive past it every day. It's right there. Now it's normal. Now what? I drove a Lamborghini. It was normal after about the first 10 minutes. Now, of course, you can make it louder and make it scream more, accelerating, what have you. But it's the same. It's the same thing. You just get used to it. When I first got this car, I'm like, oh, I got leg room now. Now it's normal. It's the unfortunate nature of humans. Beware of that thing you're chasing, that lifestyle you're chasing. One day you might catch it, and you're gonna realize, what do I do now? My favorite analogy is climbing the mountain and realizing there's nothing but air up there. You can risk your life climbing that mountain to take a picture that other people have taken that you can just Photoshop, but you want that to be your picture. I want my own picture, and I want my name on a wall somewhere that tells people I once risked my life for a selfie. People risk everything, spend all this money training and preparing, buying all this equipment, and they climb this mountain and they realize at the tippy top, there's just air. There's no prestige. No one cares. If you died up there, no one would know. No one cares. Your immediate family would be distraught. Distraught. Everyone else is wondering, why did you need to? You'd be surprised how many ideologies, how many praxeologies are just flowing around in the ethos, in the atmosphere, and everyone's just eating off of it. A lot of people are. I saw one TikTok. Youngin said, "There's someone who's making it work with less than you currently have, but if they had what you had, if they had your life, if you guys traded spots, they would run it up." And every time I hear that, it's convicting. I'm like, bruh, you pray to God to get where you are, and now you're here, and all you do is complain, bruh. All you do is, bruh. I wish I got 100%. I wish I had this much coming in. I wish I could go here and do this. You'll never be satisfied. You will never be satisfied. On this planet, there's nothing that fulfills you like God. I will admit, my faith is still growing in that area in terms of, can I fully rely on God just with faith? Just with faith. Not by sight, not my own thinking, not my own doing. Can I rely on God with faith? Can I trust him? I have zero examples of him failing me. Like I said earlier, all the worst case scenarios that I imagined this past year, none of them, zero of them have happened. And I deal with one at least once a day. At least once a day. I'm dealing with something. I'm like, all right, this might be it. This might be the end. Might be going to the ocean to walk slowly. As the music, they play Celine Dion in the background. I just walk in slow motion into the ocean, and the waves cover my head, and I just see. All my worst case scenarios have failed. All of them. I was wrong about every 100% of them. Not to say that I will always be in that place. I just find it interesting how we worry about things, and we imagine things, and we replay them over and over again, but never for the positive aspect. As someone who has quit their medication cold turkey, this is probably month 2 of being on my own devices, and struggling therefore. You start realizing the only thing that seems to be working in terms of how I can practically and tangibly affect my goings on is my thoughts. My thoughts. Controlling my thoughts, controlling what I think about. That's I can't think of anything else, with the exception of maybe taking 10,000 IUs of vitamin D3, caffeine, and marijuana, and Delta 8, and things of that ilk. Controlling my thoughts is one of the few things I have direct control of. And it's 100% effective, because there's no way to trick the system. Your thoughts are literally that. Whatever you're focusing on produces like a factory. It's like ATP from mitochondria. It's just ongoing. Ongoing. You know what's weird about live streaming? Just a quick little thought. When I spend, what was it, roughly a month or so not talking, for this length of time, an hour, and some change, all the references, all the videos, all the books that I've consumed, I'm trying to hit a new record by the end of the year of how many books I can finish. I've been running through them, I promise you. But all the thoughts and the notes, and the highlights, and the little moments, and the wordings and the phrases, they all start coming back when I'm talking about anything. And so now any analogy I need, it's usually just a recent video that pops up, or recent podcast or audiobook that I've recently consumed. It's always interesting how the mind just kind of, hey, correlation. And of course, I'm a huge fan of equality, crossover, correlation. Moving on. Number 18. You will only be pursued for the problems you solve. I would actually disagree with this. Well, primarily for the omission. I would argue that you will be pursued for any problem you solve or create. You'll also be remembered for any problem that you solved or created. Pursuit doesn't mean it's a good thing. Lions pursue gazelles daily, or they die. They pursue zebras. Predators pursue prey. So pursuit is not always praise. Sometimes it's for their own consumption. Sometimes it's for you to be ingested. Everyone's for natural selection until it's their turn to be eaten. So it's always interesting. But yeah, who pursues you is often a clue to how you are perceived. I believe I worded that correctly. It's easier to tweet my thoughts out than to speak them live, because you have to self-edit. Who pursues you is often a clue to how you might be being perceived by the populace. If I see someone wearing a cop uniform and I'm under distress, if my person is being attacked and I see someone dressed like a police officer, I'm going to perceive them as such. And I'm going to pursue them as if I think what they are is what they are. So often the people that are pursuing you, people are trying to work with you, and then like, bro, I would love to invest in you. Consider the quality of that group. If you see someone, downtown surrounded by a lot of people, it could be someone handing out food, or it could be a celebrity. But you would look at the quality of people to determine what the catalyst might be. Moving on. Number 19. Champions are willing to do things they hate to create something they love. I would change champions to wise individuals. Wise people are willing to do things they hate. Disciplined people are willing to do things they hate to create something they love. Work. If I want to eat, I got to work. I love eating. I enjoy eating. So to make this happen, if you don't work, you don't eat. Discipline. I said earlier, it's a currency, which means you need to save it for what matters in your life. You should save your discipline for what matters in your life. If you're using discipline to cut your hair every day, like stuff that has overall and overarching no actual impact on your day to day living, the quality of your life, save some of the discipline for something that actually has some value. Most of my discipline goes to eating. Most of it. Most of it. Most of it. Most of it goes to don't eat that, bruh. Come on, bruh. Come on, bruh. Don't. Most of my discipline goes to the food, the food I eat. And I see the questions. We'll get to them in a second. If you do something that you hate, if you're willing to just do it consistently, you realize you get what you want. If you go through the fear, if you go through the long suffering, the pain, you tend to get what you want on the opposite end. But yeah, it's not free. It's not free. It's unfortunate. I've noticed the more consistent I am with picking up odd end jobs, picking up gigs, working, I live better. The quality of my food gets to increase. The quality of my reefer gets to increase. The frequency of my reefer gets to increase. The places that I'm able to drive in Florida and Georgia and surrounding states, the flights I can book are all in result of doing something I don't want to do. I don't want to work because I don't have to. But if I want these things, I just do these things and I get those automatically. It's cause and effect. It's all under the umbrella of wisdom. The ability to make predictions. Number 20. And we'll finish up here. I do appreciate everybody coming through. We'll finish with the last couple comments and then we'll end it there. Number 20, bro. You will never possess what you are unwilling to pursue. You will never possess what you are unwilling to pursue. You will never possess what you are unwilling to pursue. You can apply this to just about anything. But we're going to talk about the elephant in the room, especially for young men. If you want it, you're going to have to risk rejection. This applies to women too. But I know a lot of men, in today's dating atmosphere, it's the constant fear of rejection. And this doesn't just apply to women. This applies for the caliber of jobs we apply to. If you look around, most people are competing, elbowing, boxing out for middle class. For middle class. Everyone's fighting over the 9-to-5 jobs. Now, of course, there are less jobs, in corner offices, CEO positions, COO, CFO, all the acronyms, what have you. There's not a lot of those jobs, but there's also not a lot of competition for those jobs either. A lot of people are not even considering their options in terms of what they could have, because not many people are even considering asking for it. Just simply, are you willing to even get rejected? Just send a resume up there anyway. Because the place you send it to intentionally, they probably read it with as much vigor and as much, enthusiasm as they read it at the 500. What's the term? I can't think of it. The top company. I can't think of the term specifically. You get the point. If you want it, chase it. It's as simple as asking. You would be surprised what you can get. Again, check out that book, Rejection Proof, Jiao Jiang. Check it out. It's not about the end result ever. It's about the question. Will you simply ask the question and let them deal with the answer? I always tell the youngins that be hooping, why are you worried about the block? It's your job to do the layup. It's their job to block. Let them worry about their job. It's our job to ask, to pursue, to chase, to knock, to seek. The rest of it, it's none of my business. The Airbnb I'm in right now. Again, if you guys know anything about Airbnbs, hotels, check-in is usually not until 3 p.m. or later. I've been on this live stream for an hour and 20 minutes already. It's 3 o'clock now. How did I get early check-in? I asked. I checked in at 12 noon. I'm paying $60. And again, if you know anything about hotel nights, if you type in just an average hotel in your average city, you might find something below $100. You might. I'm paying $58 for this room with attached bathroom, my own private bathroom, furniture, nice little room, got my own AC. But I got the discount by asking. The price on Airbnb was $70. The going rate for this room is like $120. I'm paying $58 only because I asked for a discount. I asked for early check-in. You'll start noticing you get a lot more yeses than you realize. You'll be surprised by how many yeses you get by simply asking the question. And fear is that barrier. It's the ultimate barrier. You will never possess anything that you are unwilling to pursue. It didn't say you won't possess anything by pursuing it. Simply pursuing it doesn't guarantee you get anything. You get a chance at getting it. If I'm in the paint and I got Youngin with me, he has a chance at getting another rebound. But I'm fully grown. I'm fully grown. He's not getting it. He has a chance to get it. A lot of things I'm pursuing, I just want a chance. Just give me a chance. If I get my foot in the door and if they hear me talk, just give me a foothold, and I'll turn it into a stronghold. Sometimes you don't get what you want. Sometimes you get better than what you wanted. No one who plans for that. What if I got better than what I asked for? What if the woman or the man I'm thinking in my mind, what if I get better than them? No, that tends to be where everybody's mind goes in today's age. Trying to get a better person. It's just a better person. I'm like, Brett, it's too much. But very few people ever plan for better than what I expected. You never get what you pay for. You either get less value or more value. You never get what you paid for. You get less value or more value. When's the last time you asked for something knowing it doesn't exist? Knowing it's nearly improbable, nearly impossible to get this. The book references how he would go up to random people's doors and knock and say, "Can I play soccer in your backyard?" As a black man, a large black man at that, I ain't knocking on nobody's door, man. For what? In Florida? In Florida, though, one of the few places the Second Amendment is still, not a suggestion. The Second Amendment, and I'm telling you, they be having signs all over the place. But if you look at our grass, we shooting a warning shot ASAP. We spraying your Swiss cheese, everything. I'm like, bruh, I heard you, bruh. The willingness to do something you're afraid of that you know the outcome is 99% no. Just do it. Just do it. Again, if you want it, if you have desire for it, pursue it. You would think that would be a simple cause and effect. I always ask this question to the young men: Is your fear of women? Does your fear of women outweigh your desire for women? If so, how? You want her, which means you will want to protect her and provide for her and be her rock. You want her, which means you have to protect her. But somehow you're afraid of her. Doesn't follow. One thing I've noticed is that logic pierces right through anxiety, like a knife through butter. Anxiety ceases to make sense when you apply simple logic to it. When you just question it with the simplest of questions. How are you afraid of her, but you desire her at the same time? I'm afraid of sharks. I stay away completely. I look at the beach. I don't. No, I look at it. They got Crocs now for some reason. It's too much. For those of you who just arrived, 101 wisdom keys. We covered the first 20. I'm not sure if this is a series or not. I'm really just taking my own advice and trying stuff. Just do the thing. I'm not gonna overthink anything at all. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, should I have my vape in the video? I don't want people thinking that's a endorsement. I don't want my mom watching that. It's too much. It's too much. Got a couple questions down here, or comments. Chris Goodman, do you think THC will inevitably be allowed in the military? Think Congressman Gates has started the paperwork early this year. I think it would incentivize people to stay and for people to join if they did implement such a thing, because they're already missing quotas now. They're leaking like a faucet, if I do say so myself. The Army, missing quota. Anybody signing up for that? Marines. I'm sure plenty of people, who have encountered drugs early in life are pursuing, career in the Marines, due to the gun proceedings, what have you. But yeah, in most cases, I see laws getting more loose than they are more strict. And the federal military, again, with all the different surgeries and different allotments and different categories that might exist and might be being created, you're seeing a loosening of most structure in most cases. Anyway, I mean, if you go back in time, the military is more strict. It's not less strict. So in cases where we see our military, making exceptions to things that were formerly scientifically laws, not theories but laws, I would imagine that most structure in the military is being kind of targeted to be made into suggestions. Like, can you not smoke weed while you driving, these $1 billion aircrafts? Again, most laws, especially most rules of engagement, most AFIs, instruction manuals, what have you, they are direct results of tragedies that happened previously. So if there's usually a don't do this or do it this way because of this, it's because somebody probably died previously doing that one thing. So if you allow the military at large to be able to smoke weed and just, all right, you can't do it within 8 hours of your scheduled shift, kind of like the same rules for alcohol. How do you apply that to pilots? How do you apply that to aircraft mechanics? The attention to detail, can they ensure that someone was in their right mind? You can't hold anyone accountable if they can easily point to a legal substance. And of course, you can say the same thing about alcohol. It's not up to me. And thankfully, I'm not in those constrictions anyway. Thank God, I haven't seen a military environment in some time now. And it's refreshing to hear F-16 and know that I probably won't hear another one for a couple months. He's going his direction. She's going her direction. I'm staying here, and they're cutting grass, and the kids are playing. It's different. It's different. What else we got? Man? Y equals mx plus b. How do you deal with dumbasses in the military, currently in the Navy? That's such a Navy type question. If I were to take your question seriously, How do you deal with dumbasses in the Navy? The right answer is humility in terms of just just relax. Well, one thing I always have to remind myself is that a lot of people are suffering as a result of being alive. And so, like for example, I was at Wendy's the other day. I'm at Wendy's most days. I think I'm averaging like 17 times a month. The glorious Wendy's. So I go to the drive-thru. I get my little two $5 biggie bags. You understand? We're going after volume and quantity for our money. And so I go to the drive-thru, and she reads it off to me. You had the following. And I'm like, all right, bet. And she hands me like two bowls of chili. And I don't realize I'm down the street. So I turn around and come back, and I walk in, and there's a youngin on the counter. And so I run up on youngin, and he starts giving me a little energy. I'm like, bro, you doing too much, bro. Bro, what you making like 9 an hour? He starts giving me energy, and I made a fool of myself. Not in the viral way, but in terms of my own standards. And so he hands me the bag that I had been waiting, because I guess they had been expecting me to come back and circle back. So he hands me the bag of food that's been sitting there. I'm like, fresh, please, man. And of course, if I were in his position, no, Brett, it is fresh, Brett. Like I would have been upset if I would have been in his position. So he pretends to go back and cook it. Well, I know now, after in hindsight, of course, that he didn't. I think he just put the bag there and just waited like 5 minutes, and then he had me say the same bag. And I knew he had got me because my pride had been smacked when I was in the car, realizing, bro, he got your ass, bro. He made you wait, and then he just gave you the same food, and you didn't even check the temperature. Like you were just on 10. You were angry. You didn't even think to check. He got you. And so the entire time I'm thinking, bro, I'm about to circle back again, bro. Like I'm about to give him some hands. I'm about to help him, bro. You work at Wendy's, bro. And then of course I was reminded he works at Wendy's. He works at Wendy's. He's suffering enough. He's suffering enough. His life, from your vantage point, is suffering. It's long suffering. And so, of course, I wanted my get back. I wanted to go back in there and order the same exact meal, and wait for him to hand it to me, and just stand there hovering over him. I'm like, Brad, don't do that no more, Brad. This is Wendy's we talking about. But of course, I went to Threads to get it all out, and I posted forgiveness. I believe I said forgiveness is greater than revenge. I hate that this is true. And I mean that because I love revenge. There's something within me. There's a conquering. There's a conquering DNA. Like there's something within me that I'm like, I should own all of your land. I mean, think about this. We're all descendants of slave masters. All of us, for the most part. Where did that energy go? Where'd the energy go? This need to conquer. I believe every man at some level. I'm like, bruh, why do they own that property, bruh? It's the whole thing. But yeah, to put a little bow in the story, I was basically convicted by the mindset of forgiveness, bruh. You got humbled, you got embarrassed. No one remembers the last time you were embarrassed. Only you do. You don't. No one remembers the last time you were embarrassed. Only you do. So yeah, you got embarrassed. He gave you some 5 minutes in addition old Wendy's, and you fell for the okey doke because you wanted fresh food when he was really just trying to humiliate him, and then he got you back. And now you're not gonna circle back. You're gonna let him have it, and you're gonna forgive. You can move on. Well, dumbasses, it's not that deep, or it's not as deep. Wendy's and things of that nature. But yeah, just realizing a lot of people are suffering by their own doing. Their life sucks as a result of their own actions. People that have all the choice in the world. I can do what I want. I can go where I want. I can live as I want. And then all those consequences come in, and they have no part in that. Why is this happening to me? How did this happen? Yeah, there's grace and mercy, but there's also consequences. And a lot of people don't prepare for those. They just assume if I have all the choice in the world, I can control and choose my consequences too. It's unfortunate. You can't choose your consequences, only the actions and decisions. And so, yeah, a lot of people in the Navy, again, Air Force, Army, I was surrounded by them as well, where you see them destroying their own life and you could say whatever you want to them. I had a troop. I talked in circles. Brett, don't do this. Watch out for this. You see this list, you're gonna end up on getting court martial. You see this? Remember you did last week? That's that violation right here. UCMJ over here, you violated that right here, and it's not for him. It's not for him. But wisdom allows you to remain in certain environments and progress and receive benefits thereof. You're able to remain in environments if you're able to assimilate. And a lot of people, like, that's the whole point of order, is to see who is standing out, who can't seem to get their life together. It's not about assimilating, it's about adapting. And I would argue, personally, I've never assimilated to the military. I adapted to it, and it just took me longer to adapt, which came with some side effects. So it's interesting. Yeah, dealing with different personalities. I can't say I exactly miss the military at all. Um, I can't say I miss the military at all. I don't. I don't. I'm grateful for the time, the little bit of travel I got to do, the people I've met. I still keep in contact with a lot of people. I was talking to my commander this morning. Um, but yeah, I don't miss the military at all. None of it. The marching, as much as I love marching, I do it in Walmart. That's it. That I do not. I don't miss it. And again, it just kind of highlights the military was a job. The Air Force was a job. It was a job. That's it. Got another question. Again, if you guys got any questions, I'm still here. Drop them down in the chat, and I will see what I can do. Should I join the military or stay in college? My major is computer science, but I get frustrated indoors. Interesting. Should I join the military or stay in college? My major is computer science, but I get frustrated indoors. I'm not sure if you're tracking the progressions of ChatGPT and Google. They got their whole system, and Microsoft is invested in ChatGPT. If you no, again, I'm not trying to tell you to stop what you're doing whatsoever. I think you already got the degree, so it's not, well, you're in college currently. Just be aware. Be aware of where your career field's going. Just be aware that it may not be the same once you get there. Like once you graduate, once you leave college, a lot of the workplaces, it's kind of like people that get divorced and they get married in the 80s and they get divorced in 2020. I'm like, yeah, the world's completely different. You went to prison in the 1980s, you come out in 2010s. It's a different world. So just be aware that going to college, you're kind of in a time capsule. The military is in a lot of ways the same thing, where you go in one day and you come out another day and you realize the world's different. The world's different. So, frustrated being indoors. Yeah, I'm one of those people as well. Be very careful with the job you choose. You're gonna want something walking around a lot, something moving from building to building, crossing the street, possibly driving around base, driving off base, traveling in planes. You're gonna want something that moves. The Air Force is like a corporation in a lot of ways, where the majority of people are sitting in one place doing one thing, and the next thing, the next thing. The Air Force doesn't have infantry, so we're not built on the back. Like our tip of the spear is an aircraft. Tip of the spear typically for the Army is an aircraft or tank, what have you. Navy, obviously. Uh, but just be aware that if you come to the Air Force or you join the military in general, you just want to be aware of what you're signing up for and how much choice you truly have. If you go to the Army or you go to the Marines, you have probably a greater chance of moving around. You just might not like what you're doing. Just research. Just be careful. Use wisdom. Um, yeah, use wisdom. Yeah, it's tough because computer science seems like a dying career field, even though it truly isn't. It truly is not. But the perception of AI taking over, multiple, the ability to code just by using regular normal language. I've experimented. I've made an app already with it. It's just be aware of those type of things. Be aware of those type of things. But joining the military is not a bad idea, especially as it relates to taking on debt, student loan debt. I'm not sure if you're getting those currently. I'm not sure if interest is currently building, but typically interest is deferred. Oh, just be aware. Just be aware. I would say join the military just because the benefits that you get can enable you to go back to college. Staying in college doesn't enable anything outside of the chance to get a job. So the military is a great investment in terms of what you could possibly get back from it. I personally have a free education. I started using a little bit, and then I hated every bit of it. I hated all of it, all of it, all of it. Outside of the youngins running around, the youngins running around. I hated all of it. I love driving, so I drive. I love driving, so I drive a lot. I drive for Amazon Flex, Uber Eats, DoorDash. I drive on my own time. And thankfully, I live in a tax-free income state, and so yeah, it's been fun doing something I actually enjoy doing, which is quite rare. It's quite rare in nature to do something you actually enjoy. Most people are doing things that pay the bills, if that. And so just be aware of those type of variables, the ones you have control of. I mean, like if you have an opportunity to list the jobs that you desire, just be aware of. Just use regular normal logic. Would this job be sitting all day, or will it be moving somewhat? Would it be moving at all? Reddit is a great resource. TikTok now, where everyone's on, documenting their lives and what have you. Um, there are plenty of resources. YouTube, I have countless videos on join the Air Force and decision making, different career fields, several interviews. So yeah, use your resources. Don't wait forever. Don't wait for the answer to be 100%. I mentioned earlier, fear will keep you in the decision making phase for years. For years. I've talked to countless people on this channel of people thinking about joining, thinking about doing this, thinking about and the only thing that's passing, the only thing that's changing is time. They're getting older. They're getting older. So think about it, research, set a date of decision making, and then go with it. And then your next step after you make a decision is to support that decision. All the rest of your energy, you're not second guessing the decision. You're not planning a plan B. All your energy and effort goes into plan A. What happens when you do that? When you use wisdom and you plan your plan A, the end result is typically, yeah, this is kind of where I wanted to end up. Right now, today, right now, in this very seat, I'm only here because of wisdom and God's grace and mercy. That is all. That is all. God's wisdom and His grace and mercy. Wisdom is the ability to cross the finish line on your feet, not in a wheelchair. How many people are going to cross into heaven? They'll make it, but they'll do so on crutches. They'll do so as amputees, doing foolishness. Let's take photos on the train tracks. Wisdom tells you, yeah, we're going to help you cross the finish line, but we're going to help you do it under your own power, walking under your own strength. That's what wisdom is. Wisdom allows you to make decisions that don't hurt you later on. They only benefit you later on. Anti-fragile. That's what the term will be. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. Appreciate everybody coming through. I'm still learning to remove expectations from everything. Remove expectations. Stop overthinking. Stop waiting for things to be. Stop trying to line everything up. Think about it. Go. Think about it. Go. Why? Because for one, I've accrued wisdom over time. As you study wisdom, the wisdom doesn't leave. I've read this book several times. I've heard all these terms, and I've tweeted my favorite ones. I've put my favorite ones on threads. You get to a point where you realize, all right, I know too much to keep making the same decision thinking it's going to change. I know too much. I know too much. I know if I want something to change in my life, make a decision. Change something. Do something. And it's even worse when you have the resources to do so. You have time to do so. I can't say I don't have enough time. That excuse is unavailable to me. Absolutely. I have too much time. When I get off of here, I have nowhere to be. That's an amazing feeling, but it's also a weird feeling. No one needs me. No one's calling my phone. Yo, where's Isaiah? No one knows. I can't think of anyone in the world outside of my Airbnb host that knows where I'm at in the world. And I'm sure some government officials and NSA and various other organizations and softwares know where I'm at. Google definitely knows where I'm at. But yeah, it's kind of an eerie feeling to be kind of alone in the world. But it's also empowering because I can't sit here and say, yo, I have nothing to do. I have the opposite problem. I have everything to do. Which yields the same end result typically is feeling paralyzed, not doing anything, being indecisive. So now I have reminders set up on my phone. I just turn them off on my laptop that just tell me that constant reminders. If you want something to change, if you're bored today, if you hate your life, go do something. Pick something, anything. Pick something. Pick something. And using wisdom in those proceedings, you realize it's kind of difficult to fail at anything I apply wisdom to. Every problem you have is a wisdom problem. Every problem you have is a wisdom problem. Every problem you have is a wisdom problem. Most problems, you could probably just throw some money at it. But if you look at the root, the cause, the catalyst, the stimulus, you realize it's probably a wisdom problem. You're probably doing something that just doesn't make sense. And the end result is pain, telling you it's feedback loop. Yo, stop doing this. It's painful. It's painful. I was on the vapes for a good minute. I was on vapes heavy. The lemon mint, bruh, Elf Bar. But that junk came with pain, bruh. My chest would be painful. No matter how much I enjoyed it, the pain outweighed the pleasure. So I'm like, this probably isn't wise because my body is literally telling me, and the only way it knows how, this hurts. Stop. Now, weed, everything feels good. Dopamine. Yo, we need more of this, bro. You hug somebody, Oxycontin. Oxycontin. Was it? There's multiple hormones that might be, being excreted by our pancreas. Appreciate everybody coming through, man. Appreciate y'all watching. Yeah, I will see y'all next video. If you want to support the channel anyway, patreon.com/Raymond Isaiah. I believe it's $4 a month if you want to support your boy. Also, I believe you can become a member on this channel as well. Again, just options available to you. If you refuse to come off the money in your pocketbook, bruh, hit the like button. I'll be forever grateful. Leave a comment. Anything you disagree with, anything you thought was intriguing, any quotes that you thought should be highlighted, definitely leave a comment below, and I will be looking through them. Appreciate y'all, man. 3 people watching. I'm grateful. I'll see you next video.